this video is a collection of many different people sharing their wow moments about the human body. And why I created this video was because I had gotten to the point where I was just going through the motions of studying, realizing I had so much content to learn, and so I was just kind of shoving information into my head and going through the days one by one, not even pretty much paying attention to what I was actually learning and the actual depth of what it was. And it wasn't until I was lying on bed, pretty much at my end, with the embryology book open on my bed, and I was reading, trying to figure out how all these processes work in utero for the fetus, and I got to this part where it talked about only when the fetus's lungs are mature enough and developed enough, it produces a thing called surfactant, and when it's high enough concentrations, it goes into the amniotic fluid, which causes a reaction which actually ends up producing prostaglandins. Prostaglandins go to the uterus to stimulate contractions of the mother's uterus, and it's basically like the fetus, only when it's ready enough, it says to the mom, I'm ready, let's go, I'm ready to get out. And I sat there actually in tears, and all I could say was, wow. And I came to this point realizing that I don't want to just learn by going through the motions. I want to be amazed at the wonder of the human body, which it is. It is absolutely intricate in so many ways. So this video will be a portrayal of some of the beauties and some of the awe factors of the human body, and hopefully it can reignite and remind us that learning, which is going to be our lifelong, does not have to be just rote memory, going through the motions process, but that we can be amazed and in wonder of the beauty of it all. I hope you can say wow at the end of this video, as I did through this process.
Oh my gosh, where to start? Okay, if I could pick one wow moment this year that I learned, it would be probably about the heart. I just love the heart, and you know, it starts beating at like day 21 or something crazy like that. It's just insane, and it starts beating in the embryo. So day 21 in the embryo, and then it continues to beat for our duration of our lives, and it's just this little thing like the size of our fist, and yet it's able to keep us alive. So like what we feel with and how we love others, and just, you know, and that we accept God into our hearts, and oh, it's just amazing. It's my favorite organ.
My wow moment is that melanocytes make melanin, which then go to keratinocytes, and then they shield the nucleus of the keratinocytes from the sun.
Why did you appreciate that?
Because I think it's cool that a part of our body sacrifices itself for the rest of it.
I like the efficiency, the mechanical efficiency of the cardiovascular system. So, for example, the way the fibers of the left ventricle muscle are arranged are kind of wrapped around, so when the heart contracts, or the left ventricle contracts, it doesn't contract like spherically, it actually twists and shortens. And the flip side is the untwisting generates almost like it's not a true suction force, but a relatively negative pressure that it aids filling as well. So it's the most efficient way to fill and eject from the heart.
So we have this fluid in our knee, and when you stand on it without moving, it like becomes harder. It allows you to actually move because it's like lubricating the joint. But then when you stop moving, it becomes more like supportive. How cool is that?
What's it called?
I can't remember.
Oh gosh.
I realized that the upper limbs and the lower limbs are extremely similar in that your forearm has 2 bones, your lower leg has 2 bones, up here you have 1 bone, here you have 1 bone, and then the joints are the same as well. Hinge joint on your elbow, hinge joint on your knee, ball and socket here on your shoulder, and ball and socket at your hip. Rather than just plainly memorizing thing, it kind of, the mechanics of it all kind of came together to make more sense.
When you hurt yourself, say for example we hurt ourselves on our hand, your C fibers and your A delta fibers are being stimulated, which causes the pain. To reduce the pain by rubbing your hand like this, you're actually stimulating your A beta fibers, which basically overrides the pain, and you don't feel the pain anymore.
And how did that make you feel?
Oh my god, that was like a wow moment, because like as a kid, obviously my parents literally always did that, but there was never actually an explanation for it.
You learn about one thing in silo, and then later on you'll just realize how, oh my gosh, these connect together. You know, like if you get a cut on your arm and it sets off this whole inflammatory reaction, you're learning about these pathways and the clotting, but at the same time it's connecting to your neurological tracts and pain, and you're talking about different like spinal level tracts, and yeah, it all just connects together, and I love that.
My wow moment was when I realized that when I was studying neuroanatomy, one of my favorite subjects, it was the brain learning about itself.
How the baby grows, and we did embryology, and basically we learn about all the things that can go wrong with a baby, basically from one cell onto a full-grown adult and the whole process. And we learn about this can go wrong and this can go wrong. However, you know, there's a lot of things that can go right, and that's how we become the people that we are today. And even with little mistakes, silent mutations and things like that, we turn out slightly different, but everybody turns out just the way they're supposed to be.
Learning about antibody diversity, the sheer magnitude of possible epitopes. Apparently there's more possible antibodies than there are stars in the universe.
If you exercise and then breastfeed after, your breast milk will be sour because of the buildup of lactic acid.
When a virus is at its most intelligent, or I guess at its most evolutionary time, it's when it actually infects the host without the host ever knowing that it's there, and it infects the host and leaves it without there being any damage whatsoever. So that those two things are essentially growing side by side. Like evolutionarily, it's favorable for them to grow side by side rather than kill each other.
Realizing that Latin was everything in medicine, so we learned about hepatitis, and I can never remember what it was. Learned that hepa meant liver and itis meant inflammation. Put them together and it's liver inflammation. My mind was blown.
Whenever you cry, you may have noticed that your nose actually starts running as well. And basically this is because the pathway to drain your tear ducts, actually share a pathway with your nose. So when you're crying, your nose is actually crying your own tears.
That's amazing! And what did that make you feel?
I just felt like my life had an answer.